Imagine the bouncer at an exclusive, really high-end nightclub suddenly looking at you and, demanding your cover charge in Bitcoin.
Yeah, and if you don't pay that digital cover charge, you aren't just stuck out in the cold.
Huh.
I mean, the entire global economy basically grinds to a halt.
Right, exactly. So, welcome to the deep dive. It is April 2026, and we are currently sitting right in the middle of, a highly fragile 2-week truce between the United States and Iran.
Very fragile.
Yeah, super fragile. And the physical center of this whole geopolitical staring contest is the Strait of Hormuz, which, normally we just think of as this simple geographic reality on a map, right?
It's just that narrow, like 21-mile stretch of water.
Exactly. But roughly a quarter of the world's daily oil supply is forced to pass through it. And according to a stack of fresh cross-reference reporting we're diving into today from the Financial Times, Bloomberg, CoinDesk, and some really fascinating analysis from TRM Labs, that physical geography has totally transformed.
It really has.
It's become a literal billion-dollar crypto toll booth.
Which is just wild to think about. I mean, we're looking at a sovereign nation utilizing a completely decentralized digital network to enforce control over a physical global choke point.
Right.
It completely rewrites the rules of how, maritime power is actually exerted.
And that collision of ancient geography and modern blockchain technology is exactly why you, listening right now, really need to care about this. Because whether you drive a car to work or buy groceries packaged in plastic or just happen to hold a crypto wallet, the ripple effects of this standoff are actively heading toward your bank account.
Oh, absolutely. It touches everything.
So, okay, let's unpack this. Let's look at the actual mechanics of how a nation state pulls this off, because I'm picturing, this massive oil tanker in the middle of the ocean. How does an Iranian authority actually charge a digital toll to a ship floating in international waters?
Well, the process actually starts long before the ship even sees the strait. Under the new protocol being enforced during this truce, the ship's owner, or like the corporate charterer, must send an email to Iranian authorities.
An email?
Yeah, an email containing their full, detailed cargo manifest. And the official diplomatic justification for this sudden, vetting process is that authorities are ostensibly checking for weapons smuggling.
Right, of course.
That's the stated reason during the truce, anyway.
But the reality on the water goes way beyond just, reviewing a PDF manifest,
Oh,
right?
for sure. It becomes a financial transaction.
Yeah.
So if the ship is approved to pass, and it happens to be loaded with cargo, they are hit with a transit toll.
Okay.
The reporting indicates that empty ships, vessels just returning to collect oil, are sometimes exempt. But if you have oil on board, the going rate is roughly $1 per barrel, payable immediately in cryptocurrency.
Wow. Wait, how much oil does one of these ships actually hold? We hear the term tanker all the time, but what is the physical scale here?
It's massive. A standard, very large crude carrier, which is heavily used in this region, holds about 2 million barrels of oil.
2 million. So we're talking about a $2 million digital toll per ship just for the right to sail through a narrow strip of water.
Exactly. And once that $2 million is confirmed on the blockchain, the ship receives a digital approval code.
Wow.
And in some cases, they even get a physical escort through the strait by the Islamic Revolutionary Guard Corps.
But come on, a ship captain isn't just booting up satellite Wi-Fi on the bridge and purchasing $2 million in Bitcoin on an app, right?
No, not at all.
How are they physically executing this massive transfer on such short notice?
They aren't. I mean, the captain is just kind of the physical hostage to the process. The actual transactions happening in corporate boardrooms in London, Athens, or Singapore.
Oh, okay.
The ship's management company gets the demand, they scramble to source the crypto through institutional brokers, and then they send it to the designated digital wallet.
And the captain is just waiting.
Yeah, the captain just sits idle in the water, burning fuel, literally waiting for the radio call from headquarters saying the payment cleared.
That sounds incredibly stressful.
It is. Because if they don't get that clearance and try to sail through anyway, the reports are absolutely clear. They face immediate military intervention, boarding, or, a complete blockade.
Which forces a really uncomfortable question. Is this truly a legitimate transit and security tariff like it's being framed diplomatically? Or is this just essentially state-sponsored extortion?
Well, if we look at this through a historical lens, controlling maritime choke points and demanding tribute is like one of the oldest tactics in human history.
Right. Empires have done it forever.
Exactly.
Yeah.
For millennia. If you control the narrow waters, you control the trade, and you get to demand a cut. So the concept of the toll itself is practically ancient.
Yeah.
But executing that toll via satellite internet,
Mhm.
routing it through decentralized digital wallets, and totally bypassing the global banking system, that is entirely new.
It's like the digitization of ancient geopolitical leverage. Yeah.
That's a great way to put it. And as for the label of extortion versus tariff historically, that label depends entirely on who holds the power and who is writing the international law. But purely functionally, it is a forced transit fee enforced by a sovereign military.
Okay, here's where it gets really interesting to me. The mechanism itself. If an oil company is forced to pay this $2 million fee, why not just wire the money? Like, why is Iran demanding payment specifically in Bitcoin or stablecoins?
Right. Well, it all comes down to the traditional global financial architecture. For decades, international banking has relied on SWIFT.
Which is the messaging network for banks, right?
Exactly. Think of SWIFT like a global postal service for money. The postmaster can see every package, read the return address, see the destination, and, monitor the contents.
Right, they see everything.
Right. So if a nation like Iran is facing heavy international sanctions, they are effectively banned from the post office.
Oh, I see.
If a shipping company in London tried to wire $2 million to an Iranian state bank account, the SWIFT network would flag it immediately, and Western banks would freeze those funds almost instantly.
So SWIFT is essentially a system built on permission, and crypto obviously doesn't ask for permission.
That is the core appeal. Using cryptocurrency to bypass SWIFT is like releasing a million homing pigeons instead of using the post office.
I love that analogy.
Right. There is no central authority to shut it down. Cryptocurrency offers a sanctioned nation three critical advantages: pseudonymity, speed, and irreversibility.
Irreversibility is a big one.
Huge! You don't need a Western bank's approval to send the transaction, and once it's confirmed on the blockchain, no government on Earth has the power to press an undo button and claw that money back.
The Financial Times reporting actually includes a quote that just lays this reality bare. Hamid Hosseini, the spokesperson for the Iranian Oil, Gas, and Petrochemical Exporters Union, told them, and I'm quoting here, "Vessels have seconds to pay in Bitcoin, ensuring it cannot be tracked or confiscated due to sanctions."
Wow. Yeah, they aren't hiding the strategy at all.
Not even a little bit. And TRM Labs, which is a major blockchain intelligence firm, they published an analysis calling this a critical deployment of crypto for state-level sanctions evasion.
Because it functions as a completely neutral, parallel financial system.
Mm.
I mean, when a nation is cut off from the primary network, they adapt, they build a pipeline somewhere else.
But I have a huge conceptual problem with how this actually works in practice.
What do you mean?
Well, the blockchain is, by definition, a public ledger, right? I can go online right now and see every Bitcoin transaction happening in real time.
True.
So if everyone can see the money moving, how does Iran verify these massive $2 million payments without immediately exposing their digital wallets? Like, can't U.S. intelligence agencies just watch the public ledger, identify the destination wallet, and slap secondary sanctions on it?
It is a massive game of cat and mouse. And it really comes down to how pseudo-anonymity works. Yes, the ledger is public. Everyone can see that Wallet A sent $2 million to Wallet B.
Right.
But the blockchain does not attach names or physical addresses or sovereign flags to those wallets. They're just long strings of alphanumeric characters.
Okay, sure.
So Iran can just spin up a brand new, entirely unique wallet address for every single ship that passes through. The shipping company sends the funds, the transaction clears in minutes, and the ship is allowed to move.
Mm. But eventually, Western intelligence will figure out that Wallet B belongs to the Iranian government, won't they? I mean, they trace the IP addresses, they look at the transaction patterns.
They do. They absolutely do. But by the time an intelligence agency officially identifies that specific wallet and attempts to blacklist it, the funds are already gone.
Wait, gone where?
The operators use a tool called a crypto mixer, or a tumbler.
A tumbler?
Yeah, imagine taking a marked $100 bill and throwing it into a giant industrial washing machine, along with millions of other $100 bills from all over the world.
Okay, I'm tracking.
When you reach in and pull out a bill of the exact same value, it is completely untraceable back to you. The mixers scramble the transaction history so deeply that the original source of the funds is just completely obfuscated.
Oh, wow.
Yeah, and then the money is often converted into stablecoins and dispersed across hundreds of other anonymous wallets.
You mentioned stablecoins, and actually, the reporting highlights that authorities aren't just asking for Bitcoin, They are actively requesting USDT and USDC, which are digital tokens pegged to the value of the US dollar.
Yes, exactly.
But why use those instead of Bitcoin?
Volatility. I mean, Bitcoin's price fluctuates wildly, right, minute by
Oh,
minute.
right. Yeah.
So if a shipping company buys $2 million worth of Bitcoin to pay the toll, a sudden market dip could reduce the value of that transfer to, say, 1.8 million before the transaction even confirms.
And they're short on the toll.
Exactly. A stablecoin solves that problem. It is always worth exactly $1.
The irony there is staggering.
Oh, it's incredible.
Like, a nation under heavy U.S. sanctions is evading the U.S. banking system by using a decentralized digital token that is explicitly designed to mimic the value of the U.S. dollar.
It is deeply ironic,
Mm-hmm.
but purely pragmatic.
Mm-hmm.
It essentially turns the blockchain into a highly sophisticated tool of statecraft.
So what does this all mean? If Iran has successfully built this untraceable digital pipeline, the immediate crisis falls squarely on the ships physically sitting in the water right now.
It really does.
What happens when this experimental crypto toll is suddenly applied to a quarter of the global daily oil supply?
Well, the immediate physical consequence is a logistical bottleneck of just historic proportions.
I can imagine.
There is a backlog of hundreds of massive ships dropping anchor outside the strait. They are sitting idle, negotiating emails, waiting for fresh wallet addresses, while corporate headquarters scramble to source millions of dollars in crypto.
And the oil markets are reacting exactly the way you would expect when that much supply is suddenly paused. We're seeing reports of oil prices pushing aggressively toward $100 a barrel.
Yeah, the markets are definitely panicking.
And think tanks like CSIS and the International Energy Agency have modeled this geography for years. Their studies show that significant disruptions in the Strait of Hormuz can spike global oil prices by 20 to 50% in a matter of days.
And we have to remember, a 50% spike in crude oil doesn't just mean your commute gets more expensive at the gas pump, you know.
Right, it's everything.
Oil is the baseline cost of modern civilization. If crude spikes, the cost of manufacturing plastic skyrockets. The cost of transporting food across the country skyrockets.
Jet fuel, heating oil, everything goes up.
Exactly. It introduces an immediate, violent inflationary shock to the entire global supply chain.
You know, the group of people panicking the most right now might actually be the maritime insurers.
Oh, absolutely.
Think about the underwriters at Lloyd's of London. The entire global shipping industry relies on complex insurance networks, often called P&I clubs or protection and indemnity clubs.
Right.
But how does a legal Western insurance company underwrite a vessel when the mandatory cost of safe passage involves participating in a sanctions-evading crypto scheme?
They can't. They simply can't. That is the fundamental crisis in the boardrooms today.
Wow.
An insurance policy cannot legally cover an act that violates international sanctions. If a shipping company pays that $2 million toll, they are willfully transferring funds to a sanctioned entity.
Which is illegal for them.
Yes. And if they do that, their insurance coverage is instantly voided. You cannot sail a $100 million ship carrying $100 million of oil without insurance.
So what is the alternative for these shipping companies? I mean, they have a contract to deliver that oil to a refinery in South Korea or Japan. Do they just turn around?
The alternative is taking the long route. Instead of passing through the Strait of Hormuz and the Suez Canal, they have to sail all the way down and around the Cape of Good Hope at the southern tip of Africa.
That adds thousands of miles to the journey.
It adds anywhere from 10 to 14 days of sailing time.
Just burning cash.
Burning millions of dollars in extra bunker fuel. It means paying the crew for an extra 2 weeks. But the real damage is to the refineries waiting for that oil.
Because they need it right now.
Exactly. Refineries operate on incredibly tight, just-in-time delivery schedules. If a massive VLCC tanker is 2 weeks late, a refinery might have to completely shut down operations.
That's brutal.
Or they are forced to buy replacement oil on the spot market at massive, panic-driven premiums. There is no easy out here.
It's a lose-lose.
Totally. The shipping companies either quietly violate Western sanctions by paying the crypto toll, risking massive corporate fines and blacklisting, or they absorb catastrophic financial losses by sailing around Africa.
The political backdrop to all of this is an absolute powder keg. And, you know, we really have to look at this impartially based on the reporting, regardless of where anyone sits on the political spectrum.
Right. Objectivity is key here.
Exactly. Because the U.S. political apparatus is watching this parallel financial maneuver happen in real time during a very fragile 2-week truce window. Former President Trump has already issued a highly public warning, stating clearly that nobody should, quote, test the truce.
The tension is really palpable.
It really is. And just to be super clear to you listening, we are not endorsing the U.S. sanctions regime, nor are we, validating the Iranian maneuvers. We are strictly observing the reality of the mechanisms being deployed based on the sources.
Maintaining that impartiality is vital, because if we connect this to the bigger picture, the implications of this event go way beyond the current political players in Washington or Tehran.
How so?
What we are observing in the Strait of Hormuz is the potential fracturing of the U.S. dollar's monopoly on international trade.
You're talking about the petrodollar system.
Exactly. For nearly a century, the global economy has been anchored by the petrodollar. The standard agreement has been that global oil is priced, bought, and sold in U.S. currency, because every nation on Earth needs oil. Every nation needs a massive reserve of U.S. dollars.
And that monopoly is what gave the United States immense, unparalleled leverage to enforce its foreign policy. I mean, if you rely on the dollar, you have to play by the rules of the U.S. banking system.
Exactly. But this event proves that a sovereign state can successfully price the safe passage of global energy in something other than the dollar.
They are pricing it in Bitcoin.
They are. And it forces a transition into a multipolar financial world the monopoly is breaking. And that brings us to how the cryptocurrency markets themselves are reacting to this news, because the reporting highlights two completely divergent theories.
Oh yeah, the math on the first theory is just wild.
It's staggering.
If 21 million barrels of oil pass through that strait every single day, and every single barrel is taxed at $1, payable in crypto, you are looking at a forced daily demand of tens of millions of dollars in Bitcoin and stablecoins. Some market analysts are predicting this could trigger a massive institutional bull run. You literally have a sovereign state mandating the purchase of cryptocurrencies simply to keep the global energy market functioning.
That is the forced demand theory. And it makes sense. But the counter theory warns of unprecedented volatility, and it centers on the reality of operating in a militarized zone.
Because it's what happens when the tech fails.
Exactly. What happens if a shipping company sends the $2 million in Tether, but the blockchain network is congested and the transaction takes 30 minutes to clear instead of 3?
Oh, man.
Does an IRGC patrol boat board the ship in that 30-minute window because they think the captain is refusing to pay?
That's a terrifying thought.
Or what happens if state-sponsored hackers from a rival nation start targeting the vessel's communication systems to intercept or spoof these massive crypto transfers?
You are mixing the volatility of the crypto markets with the volatility of a literal geopolitical war zone.
Exactly. It introduces a level of chaos that the financial markets just haven't priced in yet. But both of those theories, the massive bull run and the catastrophic volatility, they highlight the exact same fundamental truth.
Which is?
Bitcoin is no longer functioning on the fringes of the global economy.
Right.
It isn't just a speculative asset for tech enthusiasts anymore. It has been dragged into the very center of global security, commodities trading, and maritime law.
It proves that decentralized ledgers are resilient enough and perhaps uncontainable enough to be weaponized by state actors.
Without a doubt.
I mean, to sum it all up, the financial architecture of the world is literally being redrawn over a 21-mile strip of water. We are witnessing an incredible clash where ancient maritime geography is colliding head-on with 21st century technology.
It's truly unprecedented.
A sovereign nation is openly utilizing a parallel financial system to bypass Western banking infrastructure, and they are doing it at one of the most critical energy choke points on the entire planet.
And again, to you listening, our mission today is simply to report the factual realities of what happens when these technologies are deployed in the wild. We are observing the raw mechanics of a shifting global order.
Which leaves us with a massive, provocative thought to chew on as we wrap up.
Let's hear it.
If a nation-state can successfully enforce the safe passage of global energy using a decentralized blockchain, are we witnessing the quiet death of the petrodollar and the birth of the petro-Bitcoin? And if that is the case, what happens to the global economy when different oceans require completely different digital currencies just to keep the lights on? Think about that bouncer at the club again.
Right.
Right now, he is just asking for Bitcoin at one specific door. But what happens when every single door to every club in the city demands a different digital coin and the old paper cash in your wallet doesn't work anywhere anymore?
That is a lot to think about.
It really is. Thank you for joining us on this deep dive. Keep your minds open, keep questioning the systems around you as the situation evolves, and we will catch you next time.